stealthy, ain't it?
What's up guys, today I'm having a look at the Glock 40 gas blowback gel blaster made by Double Bell. This gel blaster was sent to me by Tac Toys, a gel blaster retailer who started out here in Australia and recently expanded into the USA as well. The Double Bell Glock 40 comes in a hard case with soft foam padding inside. A much better presentation than just a cardboard box like a lot of the gas pistols we have these days come in. Tac Toys also sent a bunch of accessories, including an adjustable pistol stock, an RMR sight, and a 12mm to 14mm thread adapter which allows you to add a mock suppressor on the front of the pistol. They also sent 4 extra magazines, making a total of 5 if you count the one that normally comes with a blaster. Finally, they also sent 2 cans of Puff Dino 12 kilo green gas, which should be plenty enough to power this pistol for quite a few skirmish days. I'll leave links to all of these down below in the video description, and if you get anything from Tac Toys, make sure you use the discount code BRAD at checkout to save yourself some money. Now to start off the video, let's take a look at the base model Glock 40 without any of the attachments on. Straight out of the box, this blaster functions just like any other gas pistol. It's very intuitive and realistic to an actual Glock. If it's your first time using a gas pistol though, here's how you fill up the magazine with gas and load in the gels to the mag. On the bottom of the mag there's a gas port which you access by holding the mag upside down and pulling down on this tab attached to the mag spring. From there, slide the base plate towards you, halfway off, which reveals the gas port. If you release that tab now, it'll hold the base plate, stopping it from coming completely off while you fill up your mag. Grab a can of green gas, for example the Puff Dino 12 kg that we have here, and making sure to hold the mag and the can both upside down, push the nozzle of the can into the gas port. If you listen very closely, you'll hear the pressure equalizing, and when it goes quiet again after a few seconds, that tells you the mag's full and you can remove the can. It shouldn't take any more than about 5 seconds. Slide the base plate back in place and the gas will last you a few mags worth of gels before you have to refill it again. Next up, to load the mag with gels, I'd recommend getting one of these gel ball speed loaders. The speed loader holds 100 shots, so you can just keep it in your pocket or something while you play for emergency on-field top-ups. But to get the gels from the speed loader into the mag, pull the mag follower down all the way to the bottom and then feed your gels in the wider part of the slot in the side of the mag. And I think it holds about 14 shots depending on how well you stagger the gels. But with a magazine full of gas and gels, insert it into the grip of the pistol, rack the slide, and you're ready to go. Now when you fire the last shot of the mag, the slide will lock back, allowing you to simply load in a full one and hit the slide release lever to keep on shooting. This is just like the real thing. Also, at the rear on the left side of the slide, there's a fire select switch. Up is semi-auto and down is full auto. But with the low ammo capacity of gas pistols compared to rifles, I'd usually recommend semi-auto. Short bursts on full auto can also be quite effective, and of course mag dumping on full auto is a lot of fun, but not that effective because you'll be out of ammo very quickly. At the front of the blaster, by default, it has an orange barrel tip. That's actually a legal requirement for all toy guns that are sold in the USA, so manufacturers usually don't bother changing it up for different countries. They just whack an orange tip on every single one. The orange tip unscrews with a 12mm thread, similar to most other gel blaster pistols. Moving back from there, it has a fully metal slide with white print on it saying Glock 40 Austria 10mm auto. For some reason, out of the box, there was a black sticker covering up the Glock logo, same as on the bottom of these magazines that I'm removing now. I'm guessing perhaps Double Bell didn't license the use of the Glock logo, but if you personally want to show off the Glock logo on yours and not even care about that, just peel the stickers off like I'm doing here. At the rear of the slide around the fire select, there's some grooves for added grip when racking it, plus you can see a single dot at the top for semi-auto and 2 dots at the bottom to indicate full auto. Moving on to the top of the slide now, it has a front iron sight with printed on white dot, and behind that there's a cutout where you can see the outer barrel. Further back from there, there's a replica ejection port where if the slide's open you can actually see the top of the magazine where the next gel is waiting to be chambered. Behind that, the rear iron sight has 2 printed on white dots as well. These are pretty easy to use and line up with the front sight, but as you may have noticed earlier, I didn't end up keeping my rear iron sight, instead opting for a red dot sight. And you can see evidence of that here with a couple of scratches on the slide where the screws go into the mounting plate. On your own blaster, I'd recommend filing the screws a little shorter to avoid this happening to yours. On the right hand side of the slide, there's a white printed serial number. I have no idea whether these are unique, but because it's not engraved into the actual metal, you can't use that in South Australia when you register your gel blaster as a firearm. Further back from there, there's a tiny little Glock logo which also had a black sticker covering it. And there was another black sticker just below that covering the molded text on the frame, which reads "Made in Austria, Glock Incorporated, Smyrna, Georgia." Now, speaking of the frame, just like a real Glock, this is polymer rather than metal. So don't go thinking, oh, why did they make half the blaster plastic? That's how it's meant to be on the real thing. At the front of the frame, it has a lower Picatinny rail, where you can add something like a flashlight or even a vertical grip, like I'm going to add to mine later. And further back from there, it has these levers on either side, which are for disassembly. I'll show you more on this later, but just don't go thinking incorrectly that these levers are a safety like some beginners do. On a Glock, the actual safety is the trigger itself. If you try to pull the trigger without engaging the trigger safety in the center, the trigger physically cannot move and the blaster won't fire. This is very effective at preventing accidental firing, while also giving you instant shots when you need them, with no way of accidentally leaving your safety on. Which is something I must admit I've done before with 1911s or 2011s out in the gel ball field. You go and line up a shot, pull the trigger, and nothing happens because you left the safety on, and then they just turn around and shoot you. The mag release is on the left side of the grip, just back from the trigger. Hitting that will allow the mag to gravity drop out flawlessly every time, thanks to the heavy weight of gas pistol mags. If you have small hands, you may have issues reaching the mag release with your thumb, as the grip is pretty wide. If that's the case, I'd suggest wearing some gloves, and that may help extend your reach a little. The grip of the pistol has texturing on all sides, including finger grooves on the front, raised cube shapes on the back, and side texturing, as well as a Glock logo on the left side and patent details on the bottom of the right hand side. With those fine details, that pretty much covers the stock configuration of the Double Bell Glock 40, so now I'll show you some of the accessories that you can buy for it. First of all, we have that suppressor. With a 12mm to 14mm thread adapter, it simply screws onto the front of the pistol where the orange muzzle cap came off. With 3 different threads of alternating direction, I'd suggest adding some grease to the threads as you screw them in to help prevent them coming loose. It is a bit of a balancing act with the threads all being different directions from each other, so just adding a bit of grease does help with that. The inside of this particular suppressor is just a hollow cylinder, so it's just for looks and doesn't offer any benefits relating to sound. But this Glock is very quiet for a gas blowback pistol though, and it allowed me to do a lot of stealth kills out on the gel ball field. Moving on to the RMR sight, to mount this, first you have to remove the slide. Pull down on those disassembly levers on either side of the frame, then pull the entire slide forward and off. Inside of the slide at the back there's a Phillips head screw. Simply remove this screw and the rear iron sight will just drop off. Next step is simply to grab your RMR sight. Mine's already on its mounting plate, and I also had to use a longer screw that came with the RMR. But simply attach that the same way the iron sight was attached, or once the screw's fastened, you can put the slide back on the frame the same way that it came off. On the sight itself, you can turn it on or dial up that brightness with the plus button on the side, or turn it off or dim it with the minus button on the opposite side. You can also zero it left, right, up, or down using a flathead screwdriver. I pretty much dialed it all the way down because gels drop pretty quickly out of the barrel. Last of all, let's take a look at the stock. This has a really cool quick attach mechanism that I didn't even know Glocks had. But all you need to do is push it into the gap at the back of the mag well and it'll lock in place. To remove the stock, just hit the lever at the bottom and it pulls out. There's a small little locking nub, I don't know if you can see it here, but that is what the lever attracts when you push on it. The stock itself has quite a large range of adjustment. I did find that fully extended it's a bit too long even for me, so I used it at about 3/4 length. Also, to get the stock to mount into the rear of the mag well, I had to Dremel off some plastic to let it push in all the way. Overall, with the suppressor, RMR sight, and stock attached, I think it looks absolutely sick, and in practice it made a great close quarters blaster. With the overview out of the way, let's get to some testing. Starting out with a velocity test over the chronograph. Today I'm using that 12 kilogram puff dyno gas that Tactoy sent me, but you can also get higher pressures like 14 kilograms, which will give a tiny bit higher performance. Let's see how it's shooting.
267, 291, 278, 291, 282, 285, 278, 277, 265, 269, 292, 271.
Over the chrono, it shot a high of 292, a low of 265, and an average of 280. I think an average of 280 is pretty good for 12 kilogram gas. So now, let's see the full auto rate of fire. Because this chrono doesn't actually do rate of fire, I'll calculate it manually in my editing software. Watching back that slow-mo, I counted 14 shots in 1 second, which happens to be your entire mag gone. Needless to say, I ended up using it on semi-auto in all of the gameplay footage, but you could get maybe 3 short control bursts out of each mag if you want to use it like that.
Oh, we traded.
For my final test, I'll do an accuracy test. And since this doesn't have a hop up or anything like that, I'll just be shooting from 20 meters away. I also found out later on that gels were occasionally hitting the inside of the suppressor on the way out, which threw off the accuracy a tiny bit. But let's see how it does.
Hit. 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 Miss to the left. Miss to the left. Hit. Hit. Low. Just above.
At a distance of 20 meters, it shot a spread of about 1.2 meters. In case you're wondering, the target is 1 meter in diameter. Something I might do to this pistol in the future is add a longer barrel, and that'll also allow me to add a hop up, and that'll all be contained within the suppressor so you won't even see it. But it should improve the accuracy a bit. Overall though, after using the Double Bell Glock 40 with all of the attachments both in testing and in gameplay, I must say I had a lot of fun using it. It's also probably the quietest gas blowback pistol I've ever used. Way quieter than my WeTech 2011s, for example, and it allowed me to have a very stealthy playstyle out on the field. With all the recent announcements of GBBRs coming out, some as expensive as $1,500, I think simply adding a stock to a pistol like this one that costs a fraction of the price may be an appealing alternative to a lot of you. I didn't have any issues with the blaster on the day, aside from gels occasionally colliding with the inside of the suppressor, which you could fix by extending the barrel or just taking the suppressor off, but then it doesn't look as cool, does it? The other issue I had was the stock needed to be Dremeled to fit, but as they say, if you aren't modifying stuff to make it work, are you really getting the full gelable experience? If you want to pick up one of these Double Bell Glock 40s or any of the accessories for it that I've shown in the video today, I'll leave links down below in the description. Make sure you're always using my discount code BRAD at checkout to save yourself some money, and that also works on top of any current sales or any coupons you might already have. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more like it. Also, here's 2 other videos you might enjoy, and as always, thanks for watching. See ya.